Oh, goody.
Welcome to, wait, Phil, let me introduce the show. Welcome to Phil Margo, the Lion Roars, heard exclusively on MalcolmPresents.com. And I'm Malcolm, and of course, there's my
And I'm
co-host,
.com.
you.com.
I'm .com. Okay, so today is the 13th of October,
Yeah,
2021, and
2021, it's amazing.
yesterday was an interesting day, and this morning was an interesting morning. As if those of you who saw the show last week, I said that I want to start a GoFundMe so I could go into space. And today, William Shatner, at 90 years old,
90 years old.
oldest astronaut ever. He's the oldest person to go into space. They went up to 351,000 feet, which is over the common limit of where space is.
What is considered space?
100 miles up around.
100 miles up?
Whatever it is. At 325,000 feet, I think is you divide that by 5,280, and that's how many miles it is. And that's considered space, and you get astronaut wings if you go that high. And he went straight up, and I just caught it. I just happened to catch it from the beginning, and it only took about the whole thing. Once he was launched, it took about 15 minutes for the whole mission up and down. And Jeff Bezos was there to congratulate him, and he said some very, very deep things. I mean, he said that you launched, and he said the simulations don't tell you anything. When they launch, it's pow.
I think you just launch yourself.
I just launched, and when the rocket, is blasted off, and he said that in the brief time that he went from blue to black, okay, it was all blue, and then all of a sudden, bam, it was black. So it's like it goes from life to death, the blackness of space. I mean, it was a very lovely analogy. And he said, I hope I never forget this. I hope this memory stays with me.
Yeah. Do you know how many G forces there are when you go up? Because I know the astronauts train like that.
Yeah. I don't know how many, but it's max Q. Is a time when it's the most G's, but he said he was okay through it. He said you feel it in your stomach and everything in your face, But he
90 years old.
Yeah,
Wow.
90 years old, and it's amazing I mean, if Leonard was still alive, Leonard Nimoy, he probably would have went with him.
Oh, definitely. Probably in spirit he's with him.
Yeah, they were friends.
They were good friends. They were both Orthodox Jewish kids.
Yeah, I know. They're friends, and I mean, I met them both, and I told that story about my son-in-law, right? I have to go through that again. But anyway, so that was amazing to watch, and I still want to go. I think I'm healthy enough, and I just have to raise $250,000 to get there. So a GoFundMe, because in 1961, when The Lion Sleeps Tonight was a hit, 60 years ago, it was also marked Alan Shepard's launching first American into space. Nice. So The Lion Sleeps Tonight has been filtering throughout the universe for 60 years. So why not me?
Okay, well, that's it. Well, maybe you'll be the first person to go to outer space.
No, I already went there. I grew up in the 60s, remember?
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Well,
no, I don't know. I feel I should be there. I feel like one of the people that did what I did, had big hit records at that time in that 10 years, should go to represent all of us.
Well, find out how to do a GoFundMe page.
Yeah.
And we'll promote it on this
show. I got to do that because I really wanted to. I'm a pilot also.
I know.
I'm a pilot. I fly airplanes. I know about that. I'm a pilot. So I don't know. And I was a rock and roll star from that era.
Okay, as I say,
My song is still rolling around the universe.
I hear your song at least once every 2 days.
Yeah.
Not
So,
necessarily your group, but the music.
yeah. So, I mean, not
It-
just that song, but all the records I produced,
oh yeah,
all my artists,
but,
that
but, but
that whole period of time, that whole 10 years. So when I got into the business in 61, I had a lot of hit records that are out there in the universe now.
okay, give us some of your hit records for those who aren't familiar with our show.
Well, He's So Fine, One
Yeah.
Fine Day, the happenings, See You in September, and I Got Rhythm, which was the #1 record. The old I Got Rhythm with the happenings, and Randy and Rainbow's Denise, and Tony Orlando and Dawn's Knock Three Times, and Candida. So we had.
Oh, you have quite a.
We were the second most successful producers in that period in 1970. We were the second most successful producers money-wise, gross income, for the industry.
Well, I hope you save your money. You probably could support yourself.
Well,
in that project.
Yeah, but not a quarter of a million to send me into space, And I wouldn't doubt that I spent $250,000 in my life on airplanes and flying lessons.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't doubt that. But anyway, and of course the Dodgers showing up yesterday.
Right. Yeah. Now let's get back to the real news of the day, because it's a pennant fever and World Series time. And as two kids from Brooklyn, we know all about that.
Oh, sure, and we know the disappointment of it until 1955. Don't forget, I was a conscious Dodger fan from 1947 on.
I think I was an unconscious Dodger fan, because I rooted for them. They were in my lifeblood.
Yeah, I was 5 years old in 47 when Jackie Robinson came up.
Yeah, I don't remember when Jackie Robinson came up. I think my first memories might have been the 1950 or 51. I definitely remember Bobby Thompson's home run.
Forget, yeah. Well, I thought it was my fault. I stayed home from school. I played hooky from school because the game was during the day, but it was televised. They were televising.
Right, and then that was unique in those days.
And the Dodgers were ahead. They had it in their hands, and then Newcomb got a little rocky, but I said, don't take him out. Keep him in the game. Don't take him out, and they took him out. And
who did they bring in?
They put in, I believe, Dan Bankhead. No,
Ralph Branca.
Branca, right? Ralph Branca.
I think he wore number 13.
Right. Yeah, I know. I have a hat that says Ebbets Field, and it says on the hat. Wait, let me get it.
Okay.
Just keep talking to somebody.
I'll keep talking. Yeah, I remember that. I remember the feeling that I had when he
this is my
hit the home run
hat. See?
Yeah.
And look what it says on it.
Well, 13.
That was Ralph Branca's number. And now, and what we didn't know is that the Dodgers and Giants never really played in a playoff game, during a regular playoff game during ever. They played 2,800 games or something like that. Oh, well over 2,000 games they played against each other, but they never played. The only playoff game they played was it was a single playoff game.
Right. Well, in those days, they weren't playoff games. It was simpler days. I think each league had 8 teams in it.
Right, and the winners,
the American League and the National League.
Right.
Whoever won the American League, whoever won the National League, played 3 out of 7.
Right.
4 out of 7. 4 out of 7.
4 out of 7. Yeah, and the playoff game only happened because there was only 8 teams in each league.
Yeah.
So the only time a playoff game happened was when there was a tie.
The tie for wins. Yeah.
Second team. So the Giants and the Dodgers came in first and second, so they had to play a playoff game. It wasn't 2 out of 3. It was just one
No,
game.
one game. It was a
And,
win or
right.
go home.
But this is the first time that the Dodgers and Giants are actually in all of their torrid history. Especially when we lived in New York and the Dodgers were in Brooklyn and the Giants were in not Manhattan. You know what I mean? They were like cross the bridge rivals.
Well, they were bitter rivals, and with the Yankees also, because the Yankees always beat us in the World Series time.
Except for 55.
55.
And I was in, I think probably, let's see, I was probably in the first grade, first or second grade. I don't know. There was a girl that sat next to me named Deborah, who was a Giant fan. She was a Giant fan. She lived in Brooklyn and she knew baseball. She really knew baseball. I can't remember her last name, and she said, we have a guy coming up. His name is Willie Mays. He's going to be one of the greatest players ever.
Willie who?
Willie who?
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
And we argued about who was better, Duke Snider or Willie Mays.
They say, hey, kid, yeah.
Actually, it was Willie Mays. I mean, history. I mean, they're both in the Hall of Fame, but Willie Mays had a much, he was
right. Well, we had that debate on a lot of the players. Was it Willie Mays, Duke Snider, or Mickey Mantle?
Well, I think Mickey Mantle was probably the best of the three, when he was in his prime. The problem was his prime was very short.
Well, the problem with Mantle,
Willie played ball for a long time, and so did Duke.
Yeah, problem with Mantle was, I think it was his rookie year where he stepped into in the outfield. There was like a drainage
Well,
thing where he and ruined his foot.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't follow him that much, but I had friends that were Yankee fans that were, and he was a great ball player. I mean, there's no question about it.
Well, the greatest line that Mickey said was, I think he was in his 50s or something, and Mickey was a heavy partier. They had that whole team with him
sure.
Billy Martin. Barrett didn't do it, but Billy Martin, a few other players. And Mickey said, "Gee, if I knew I was going to live this long, I'd take better care of myself."
Yeah, I know.
Because he had a history of his family had a history of people dying at an early age of heart attacks.
Yes, I know. Anyway. And I got to do a pilot with Jim Bouton.
Oh yeah.
Well, I got to learn a lot of other stuff about what was going on.
Well, he wrote for baseball lovers. He wrote the book Ball 4, which was really the first expose of what happened in the locker rooms.
Yeah. And
it was a fascinating book.
So the Dodgers stood up and said, "No, we still could be the champions," and I was very pleased with that. I said, because I told you yesterday, they lost by 1-0 on Tuesday night. 1-0. That's, for a championship team, that's insulting. That means they didn't score a single run.
Right.
And their pitching gave the other team only 1 run. When you get that and you're in a championship game, you got to take advantage of it. You got to get those runs. And they did last night.
Yeah. Well, you have to credit the Giants defense. There were some great plays that kept them from not scoring. In fact, there were great plays the Giants made last night that kept the score down, because the Dodgers easily could have won 10-0. There was a ball hit, I forget, I think it was Chris Taylor, that the Crawford jumped up, bases loaded. And he went as far as he could, jumped up and caught the ball.
Well, wasn't that catch like that made the night before? I mean, what's his name hit a ball? What's his name hit a Betts? I think it was a Betts. Hit a ball that would have gone out if not for the wind.
No, but there's one Betts hit one that was that the shortstop. I think
that was a line drive.
That the shortstop jumped up.
Somebody hit one into the outfield that would have been a home run if not for the wind.
That I hadn't seen.
The wind caught it up and it just became catchable.
Yeah. But something, I like I watched baseball when I was, the Brooklyn Dodgers were there. I watched every game that I could.
Yeah.
And I knew every player on the field because this was the pre-reserve clause. So people came to the team. There was a first team, and generally, if they were any good, they weren't traded. I mean, I remember my lineup was Roy Campanella was catching. Big Gil Hart.
You remember the batting order?
I don't remember the batting order.
Cox, Reese, Snyder, Robinson,
Furillo?
Furillo, Campanella. I don't remember, and I have to think about it, but and then the pitcher, whoever the pitcher was, ninth.
But they had
Furillo, and then Junior Gilliam led off after when he came up.
Well, Junior or Jim Gilliam, he played. He took Robinson's place when Robinson, I think, went to play third.
Hermansky.
Well, Gene Hermansky was before that. The one in the right field.
He was there. He was there in that lineup.
I remember the left fielder was a guy named Gene Schuba.
Well, he didn't play every game. Hermansky was the regular. Shotgun Schuba was.
Shotgun Schuba because he had a great arm. And in fact, there was a Carl Furillo. They had that big wall in right field. He knew how to play the carom off the right field wall. So he could, if someone hit a line drive off of the right field fence,
he'd catch it in a fly.
He would catch it and throw the guy out at first base if he was a slow runner.
He also threw guys out at first base on singles.
Yeah,
I saw him do it.
It was amazing.
Hodges is the one I left out.
And Gil Hodges of that main group is the only one not in the Hall of Fame.
Really?
Yeah.
Reese, Cox isn't in the Hall of Fame.
No, Cox wasn't one of the.
Cox, Reese, Snyder, Robinson, Campanella. Right. Furillo wasn't in the Hall of Fame.
No, Furillo's not. But of
Hodges in the Hall of Fame?
No.
No.
In fact, there's a Facebook website is why isn't let's make Gil Hodges a member of the Hall of Fame.
Well, I didn't say it's not always fair.
No, because after he became left as an active player, he was also the coach, the manager of the New York Mets.
That won the World Series.
That won the World Series in '69.
I know.
As a matter of fact, when they won the World Series, he lived on Bedford Avenue in Brooklyn. And everybody knew his address. We went to his house and there was a line of people lining up the street. When he came home, there was a line of people that he went through. Everybody was cheering him, shaking his hand.
Well, that's what baseball was. That
it was local.
Baseball was local. A lot of the players had jobs during the winter.
They definitely did. They didn't have the
they didn't have enough money. Can you imagine that? They didn't have enough money to live, and by the time A-Rod came along and got his contract, he was making more money per bat than players made for a whole year.
Well, that's what one day we could just talk about free agency.
Well,
that's what people. It was good for the players and probably right.
It wasn't good. It was good for the players, but it was terrible for the fans because the fans had to spend money. Where do you think that money came from? It came from, come on. LA charges $30 for parking at Chavez Ravine at Dodger Stadium. $30 for parking.
Yeah, but that's based on greed because baseball, basically, where they're making their money is through television, because the media is paying so damn much money.
Well, the Dodgers
broadcast their games.
And we're forced to have that. We pay for that on Spectrum, even if we don't want to.
Yeah, I have that at AT&T on Uverse.
Anyway,
we have the Dodger station.
But anyway, so that was interesting. And now, to change the subject a little, there's a series on Hallmark Channel, Movies and Mysteries, that was called. It's called Signed, Sealed, and Delivered, and it's about a fictional department of the Denver Post Office that deals in it's a dead letter office. And they find these letters that, and there's this wonderful staff of people that are just fun to watch. The shows, I think, started in 2015 or 2016 with 1 hour shows. Then they went to 2 hours a couple times a year. And tomorrow and Monday, Sunday night at 9 o'clock, I think is going to be the last one. You know, it's going to wrap up everything, sort of. And it's one of my favorite shows. I enjoy it very much. The characters who play these four characters are fun, and I really enjoy it. So, and this is going to be the last show. And a year and a half ago, before the pandemic, they had a show that was supposed to be what it was the last show that they did for the time, and I didn't watch it until this week, because now I know the follow-up show is coming up on Sunday. It's called Signed, Sealed, and Delivered. It's on the Hallmark Channel, I think 88 or 89 if you have Spectrum. And they're just wonderful people to watch. I just enjoy them.
Well, there's some good shows. I'm a follower of, I don't know if you, NCIS, which is Mark Harmon.
Yeah.
It's executive producer, and he plays a title role of Gibbs, who was the head of.
I did a movie with Pam Dorber.
Oh yeah, that was his wife.
Yeah, with,
she actually in the
when she was, I mean, I got kind of friendly with her. She was, you know, she was between romances. She didn't have a guy, you know what I mean? And we would just sit and chat, and she was delightful. She was
Nanu. She was.
And they married. They've been married for a long time.
No. She was with Robin Williams and.
Yeah, Mork and Mindy.
Mork and Mindy.
Right, but
people don't remember. No, she's been married to Mark Harmon for a long time.
She
probably
did
about 40 years or so.
Yeah, I made this movie in 1988, 87, or maybe 84. She's with him but she met him afterwards. But I would sit and talk to her because she was very.
By the way, the last season she played a role in NCIS. I don't know if you watch it or not.
Oh, I didn't. She did do some television, but basically, and it's funny because in the movie we made, she was married to Robert Klein.
Yeah.
And
he's a funny man.
She used to work at his law firm, you know, in the movie, and when they had two children, a boy and a girl, and they're kind of, they can stand up on their own now. They were old enough to be able that she didn't have to watch it. And she was a great housewife. She knew how to cook. She knew how to do everything. All the things she did, all the things she did, we looked up how much she would be paid if she were paid for the things she did as a housewife. And she would have been paid $50,000 a year. This is back in the middle 80s. And it was called This Wife for Hire. And so she decides she wants to go back to work. You know, the kids are grown, relatively grown. They're old enough to go to school and stuff. So he doesn't want her to, back then, he didn't want her to go to work, back to work at the firm. So she gets this idea and she becomes a wife for hire because she has great skills as a wife and mother. And so and this is based on a true story, on a real girl who did this. And she becomes a wife for hire to this basketball player who was, we used the actual, the Clippers. We used the actual Clippers, you know, we shot it, we shot the scenes in this where they played, and she becomes, her business expands because she's good at it, you know, and Pam was that character, and she was wonderful at it. She understood it, you know.
Yeah, well, because she lived it.
But this was before she was married. She had children. This was her desire to do that.
Maybe that's why the marriage had lasted so long. She knew what to expect going into it.
I don't know, but all I know is she was as delightful as you thought she was watching her.
But anyway, the thing is that this is going to be a serious spoiler if people didn't watch it the other night. I think it was on Monday night. It's in their 19th season, by the way.
Is he still on it?
It was his last show there. Everybody
Ah,
said goodbye to him, to Gibbs. And so it's going to be, I don't know if there's going to be a 20th season, because supposedly the only reason he did this season is they were supposed to cancel the show. And he did it if he agreed to do the show one more season. But right now he's out. So I don't know how it's going to be without him, because he's been, the lead guy for 19 years. That's a long time. But it was
yeah.
it was a very good goodbye type of thing. What he's going to do is he doesn't know what he's going to do. But basically, they left him in Alaska doing fly fishing, and he says he's never felt so peaceful in his life.
He's living in Alaska.
He did he's living in Washington D.C. or
Yeah.
in wherever the NCIS, I think it was Washington, but. The last this last show, he had to go to Alaska to do something. And he
Oh,
decided to stay in Alaska doing fly fishing. He said he never felt so peaceful in his life, because he was a very conflicted type of person.
well,
I mean, basically, he was a killer.
his father was Tom Harmon.
It was Tommy Harmon.
Tom Harmon.
Tommy Harmon was his father, who was
He was
a
a famous coach, right?
no, he was a Heisman Trophy winner. I forget whether it's, I think it's USC.
Yeah.
He's a Heisman quarterback.
Didn't he coach too?
I think he coached also.
Yeah.
Tommy Harmon.
Anyway, I always liked him. He was always.
Yeah,
I mean,
and he became, yeah.
He did this movie with Kirstie Alley.
Yeah, but by the way, he also Mark Harmon was also a quarterback for UCLA, I believe. All American.
I don't know that.
He never became a pro.
He did this movie with Kirstie Alley called Summer School.
Oh, that was a funny movie. I like that one.
Summer School. Yeah. It was fun. It really was.
It's
my kind of movie. It's a Hallmark movie. You know, I mean, you could see Hallmark making that movie.
Yeah, at the end, it was a feel good movie. But talking about TV series, I think it's coming back called Hacks. Is a great movie. I think it's Netflix or Hulu.
Well, I don't know. I don't.
And she won the Jean Smart. She won the Emmy for the leading actress.
Who did?
Jean Smart.
Oh yeah, I like her.
Yeah, Jean Smart played not the Golden Girls. I forget which one. The name of the series of
Yeah, she was on the series.
Yeah, the 4 Southern girls.
Yeah.
Living together, I think, in Georgia, because they were Southern. They were Southern.
Right.
I forget the name of the series, but she was also in one called. She played a totally different character in one with. I think my mind is going, but it was about a small town.
I think she did a couple of Hallmark movies
in Pennsylvania. She's a fantastic actress, and she really is fantastic in a thing called Hacks. So to me, it's sort of almost like a Joan Rivers type character, or a Phyllis Diller type of character. You know, she was a stand-up comedian in Vegas. She does her own show, but she's getting old and she's not relating to the audience or the younger audience. She's relating to the older audience. So they bring in a young girl who's a comedy writer, and it's their relationship that builds up after a while, and it's good.
Oh, it's good.
It's called Hacks.
I'll have to look into it. I'll have to check it out.
And the one that I'm sorry left is called the Kaminsky Method.
Yeah, my son keeps yelling at me to watch that.
Yeah, I think that's over already, but that's with Michael Douglas and Alan Arkin. But I think in the last one,
Alan Arkin, Alan Arkin was in a vocal group, the Tarriers.
Oh, really? That I didn't know.
He did Banana Boat Song Deo, Hill and Gully Rider, Hill and Gully.
Hill and Gully Rider, Hill and Gully.
Deo. It wasn't.
Belafonte did the
Belafonte's version. He went Deo.
Deo is a Deo.
Go home. They did it more, more.
I love the Jamaican accent.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
Anyway, but what's funny is Harry Belafonte and Sidney Poitier grew up around the same time, where they became actors. I think they're a similar age. But as I understood, Belafonte wanted to be an actor and Portier wanted to be a singer.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I know. That's what I'm telling you.
I know Belafonte was singing way early, you know, and Portier was
acting.
The movie with when the two prisoners are tied together.
Yeah,
with
him and Tony Curtis.
Tony Curtis, right? Well, I forgot the title of the movie. What was the title of the movie? When they were.
Oh yeah, I think I don't know. He didn't win the Academy Award for that. He won the Academy Award for the.
I mean, when you think about it, how nuts this world really is, and this world is really nuts. I mean, it's nuttier than it's ever been. But when you consider that Black people had to play to be in the movies, they had to play the concept of a Black person, which wasn't true. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like what's his name? The early Black, like Ethel Waters in that.
Well, the big one was Stephen Fletcher.
Yes,
Fletcher.
Yeah.
Who always played sort of a.
And it was a lie. It was a lie. But that's the only way they could get work.
Or one of my favorites, which I don't know is good or bad, is a Mantan Moreland, who played Charlie Chan's chauffeur.
Right. There's many of them, and women too. I mean, it was so ridiculous, the whole concept. And now you look at television now, and you see gay marriage, mixed couples, all over the place, day in and day out. They don't even. In fact, it's the interesting thing is my grandson, who was at Fordham and wanted to, you know, he takes acting, and he can't. There's no parts for him because he's a white kid. There's no parts in the final thing because they're looking for all other ethnicities, and he didn't fit into any of the roles.
Well,
it's like reverse.
Tell them he's Jewish.
Well, I don't know if that had anything to do with it.
That's an ethnicity. He can. By the way, there are some very good Israeli series on Netflix. There's not a new one now.
But open than me. I don't know. I have no patience for anything anymore. You know,
anyway, we're going to have to get your interest, Bert. But anyway, it's not going to be at this half hour because our time is up.
Well, there you go.
And
GoFundMe for Phil Margo to go into space.
Yeah. Well, get your thing so we know what to do. And tomorrow is the 5th game for the Dodgers. So go Dodger Blue.
Yes, go Dodger Blue.
And I will see you next week. If not, we could do it before Wednesday, but we'll do it Wednesday right now.
Talk about it, whatever.
Peace be with you, my son.
Bye all.
Have a great week. Bye all.